Hello there, folks. This is Citrus Aviation here with another video, and today we have a very special 500 subscriber special video where we are doing an interview with Gemini Jets 13, and he is on the line right now.
Hey guys, thank you for having me today, and look forward to going through these Q&As and give you guys some little more detail on just some background information that you might find interesting.
Yeah, so I want to thank you, Gemini Jets 13, for coming on and doing this. It's a great pleasure to do this. And we're going to get started with the very first question, and that is, how did you get interested in aviation?
So yeah, aviation has played a big part in my life in terms of, from start to now, essentially. Ever since I was a little boy, my mom always took me to the airport back in Cleveland Hopkins, back when Continental had a hub. And we would always watch planes through any city that we moved to. We went from Cleveland to Orlando, we, watched planes from there. And then, through the years, it just kind of carried on as a continuation of something that I knew I wanted to get into one day. And, as I got older, I really wanted to kind of expand upon what I've been watching over the years as a kid, and basically just kind of take that next step as I got older.
Alrighty. What was your first model aircraft, and do you still have it?
Unfortunately, I do not still have it. The first model aircraft, if I remember correctly, was a Herpa 1:500 scale, US Airways 767-200, and I got it sometime back when I lived in Jacksonville. I want to say it was around 2001, 2002. Then I also had a couple of those. I want to say there was a 1:600 scale of like a Metrojet 737 and like a FedEx 727, but I do not have any of those, unfortunately.
All right. What is the oldest model you have?
The oldest model I have, so technically, if we're basing it off of when the plane was released, I recently did acquire a US Airways 767-200 model, and I believe it was released in 2000 or 2001 from Gemini Jets. So in that regards, that would probably be the oldest model I do have. But in terms of oldest model that I've recently purchased, or I should say that I have on hand, would probably be the JetBlue A320 1:400 scale. In terms of which one I had the longest, I should say.
That's nice. Now you have like a bunch of those different old tails, right?
Yes. Paid a hefty price for them too. So.
What or who inspired you to build your first airport?
So this was definitely, I'm not sure if many will remember this, because I keep forgetting I've been around the block for a long time at this point. But some of you may remember ETOPS 1 or NWA 941. And those two guys were awesome. ETOPS 1 was a flight attendant based out of Philadelphia for US Airways. He had a phenomenal airport and that was modeled after Philadelphia, and the guy had like everything you could think of. I think he had like 9 CRJ 900s of US Airways Express, and he had just every plane was just duplicated to represent what Philadelphia had in terms of service at the time. And that was basically the biggest Kickstarter to wanting to do a model airport in YouTube. Was that guy right there.
All right. Who or what inspired you to start making your own YouTube videos?
So I'd probably say a little bit of mix of the two YouTubers I listed before, and then Gemini Jets with a Z. Some of you may remember him as well. He made the airplane reviews for Gemini Jets way back in that, I want to say the 2008 to the 2011 time period. I may have the years off a little bit, but probably just a combination of ETOPS 1, Gemini Jets with a Z, and then NWA 941.
Alrighty. What was your first flight?
First flight was, I don't remember it, but I do know that from what my mom told me, it was from Cleveland to Baltimore on Southwest. I would go ahead and guess that the plane was either a 737-200 or a 300. And yeah, that was definitely the first flight on the old mustard colors for Southwest.
Oh, wow, that really goes back a bit. So you mainly model airports like CLT, Atlanta, a few others. Why did you choose those airports?
Yeah, so first and foremost, Charlotte was definitely the most important airport for me because I moved to the city in November of 2003, and I've spent hundreds and hundreds of thousands of hours at the airport. So Charlotte, I hold a lot, true to the heart in terms of how much love I have for the city and the airport. So definitely the passion from that was driven to make me do the Charlotte airport. For ones like Atlanta, some might remember that AirTran was a huge favorite airline for me at one point when they were still around, and that was kind of the inspiration there. And I've also spent a lot of time in Atlanta just from visiting the airport from a plane watching perspective, and then we carry that cycle over to some other airports that really have somewhat of an interest in me in terms of like Boston, because I love JetBlue, and Phoenix. It's just a cool airport, and just things of that nature is where that inspiration comes from for those airports.
Alrighty, that's really awesome. And for those interested in growing their own YouTube channel or starting their own YouTube channel, what would you recommend?
So I definitely recommend, there's so many airports around the world and country, depending on where you're based off of. And, choosing an airport that you really like and have a passion for, and an airline that you have a passion for, is really the biggest recommendation and tip that I would have. I don't do it just because, it's just a chore. I really like it just because I do Charlotte because I like the airport and the airline and the operation. So it really just boils down to what do you like and what makes you really passionate about, aviation, and how you can all tie that in together to make a video or make an airport based off of those aspects would be my biggest recommendation.
All right. How do you make and edit your videos and/or thumbnails?
So I'm a pretty old school. I'm not really fancy on all the technology yet. I unfortunately don't have a proper computer yet. I still have an old MacBook Air that I've used through college. But I've done a little bit of Final Cut Pro. Nothing drastic because my computer really doesn't handle that too well. It does not like that one bit. But I've used the Pixelmator app on the iPad a lot. That works really well for my thumbnails. And another thing I like to do is, for the thumbnails in general, just to make them, I always use the DSLR camera and with the tripod just to get better stabilization for those as well.
Oh, we got Cessna 132 pun. Sorry, guys. I'm at the airport while I'm recording this. Yeah, but I mean, one of the things is, for those interested in starting YouTube, you don't have to have anything super complicated or advanced. Yes. Just start making the videos. That's really important.
Yes. Yeah, make the videos. Like I was kind of saying at the beginning, I'm not saying that you can't do the same airports that other people are doing, because there's only so many big airports with large hubs. But when you're doing that, just try to make it unique, right? If you can build the terminals for it, or if you can do some type of unique way just to make it stand out more, that would probably be another little fundamental thing to have for your videos and your airport as you proceed on with it.
All right. So next question kind of is a little bit related, and it's what makes your channel unique? Yeah,
so definitely to follow off of what we just kind of discussed a little bit. It boils really down to the passion that I have for what I like, right? That's one of my favorite things about the YouTube for model airplane collectors and airplane reviews and all that stuff is everyone's different, right? Everyone likes different airlines, everybody likes different planes. So when you go on YouTube and you see all the different model airports that people do, that's one of my favorite things about it is, and to kind of bring that into how my channel does, makes everything different. It's just, when I started, no one did a Charlotte airport, and because Charlotte at the time wasn't really a big city. I mean, the population now, Metro, is probably about 2.7 million. But it's not a big city in terms of your Chicago's or your Los Angeles's or Miami. So, doing an airport like Charlotte is really nice, one to do, because it's totally different from what you usually see on YouTube. Because a lot of people like doing the JFKs and the LAs, and there's nothing wrong with that because there is so much variety that goes in there. It makes it a great airport to do from a collector standpoint, because you can buy so many different cool airlines for it. But I kind of just think with Charlotte, that was really a good one that made the channel look different. And then my prized jewel of the collection would be my JetBlue Airways collection. So that's kind of the things that I love doing the Boston airport so much, because it gives me the ability to, showcase all these JetBlue planes that I have. And I've picked up about 3 or 4 recently, and I almost have all the 1 to 400s at this point. And it's just, being my favorite airline is just one thing that I really love doing, because not everybody likes JetBlue, not everybody likes your other airlines, so it's just a unique way for me to showcase those likes, I should say.
Alrighty. What model do you have? Okay, hold up. Sorry.
You're fine.
What model do you want to see made that is not currently available?
Some of those that watch my videos will know exactly what my answer is. So I'm going to give you 2 answers. I'm going to give you the answer that people will be expecting, which is the American Eagle CRJ 900, operated by PSA in the 1 to 400 scale. That one is honestly a killer to my airport, because it's 2020 now, and we've been having American Eagle CRJ 900s for almost 7 years at this point. And it's absolutely killing my airport, because we have about, I want to say on a normal day, we have about 125 to 150 CRJ 900 flights per day, and I'm still sitting on the table with some US Airways Express planes. So it's an absolute, it's so unfortunate Gemini just has not been able to produce that yet. And then I'm gonna give you just a second one, just because there's kind of, in my views, there's 2 paths of collecting. You get the planes that you like and you want to have for collecting purposes, and then there's planes that you buy just to have for your airport. So I give you a little bit different answer, because people probably won't be expecting this, but there's one plane that, on a personal level, that I really like to see would be the JetBlue Embraer 190 and the Harlequin Taufin in the 1 to 400 scale. That would be an awesome one to have, but we'll see.
I would love that too. I'd pick that.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely.
Yeah, that was really good, and I really enjoy seeing how everybody answers the questions uniquely. I'm sure you saw the Red River Aviation interview. He also had American CR9 top of the list, so Gemini Jets, get on that one.
I'm telling it, they're missing on money, because I will buy an absolute haul of those. I mean, good God Almighty, man. Ugh.
Alright, so what do you think the next big feature of model aircraft is, like spinning engine, blades, etc.?
Now this is a tough one, because I was thinking about this for a little bit, and one of the things that we've been seeing is the more they're at, the more features they add to the planes, the more risk there is in terms of stuff breaking and whatnot. Not necessarily that it's a bad thing, because I think having antennas and stuff to the planes are awesome. Spinning fans, like you mentioned, would be really cool. Something that I thought of, which I don't necessarily know if this would make sense for Gemini Jet models, but if you're familiar with some of the 1 to 200 scale models, you can actually take the landing gears off the plane. They're kind of magnetized. So this might not make a whole lot of sense, but I did come up with this idea of maybe if some of the planes would have those magnetized gears. And I say that because so often we lose pieces that, you lose the tire pieces that pop off one of the sides or something. So I always thought that it might be a good way to introduce like magnetized landing gears, where in the event that you lose the pieces or something like breaks, you can get like a replacement of a gear part and then just pop it in to the plane. Now for 1 to 400 scale, I'm not necessarily sure if that would actually work in theory, because of how small the planes get, and it might only work for certain, maybe A319s and up, or 737s and up. That probably wouldn't be something you would see on a smaller plane, just because of how small it actually is. But that's something that I would kind of think about. Might be something cool to feature to do at some point. But
yeah, do you remember like Gemini 1 to 250s? They had like those gears that could go up, like the track. That would be awesome. I'm
not to keep talking. I'm so glad you mentioned that, because years ago for Christmas, I actually got a couple of those. It was an Alitalia MD-80 and then an Elite. I think it was not a Legion. It was an Alaska MD-80. And those 1 to 250 scales, I really wish I still had those. I don't know what happened to them, man, but they were awesome, because you could, like you said, you could pull the gears down, you could retract the gears up and down with the flaps and everything. It was just such a cool plane to have. But yeah.
Yeah. I was looking recently at JC Wings, because they seem to always have like the latest stuff. particularly 1-200. So 1-200 scale, we've had spinning engines for a while, so that could totally be a thing that would come to 1-400. But also, like, have you seen some of the JC wings? They did a Kuwait 777 with opening engine cowlings.
I saw that. Absolutely awesome. Absolutely awesome. Now, this might be pushing it. This might be pushing the expense cost of it, but I always, as I was younger when I was collecting planes, I always wanted to see planes have lighting features. I don't know if that's ever possible, but it would be so cool to have like the lights actually light up in the planes. That would be really neat to see one day.
Oh yeah, yeah.
We'll see.
That could be possible. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because like a lot, particularly in 1-200 scale, I can see it happening because a lot of the inside of those models are like hollow.
Yeah.
So they could totally put like a battery bank and such in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Might be pricey, but it'd be kind of cool to have one maybe. Yeah. Tell me about it.
Alright, do you think the commercial diecast aircraft space is saturated, or is there room for another competitor to come in?
I would say it's saturated at this point, and not necessarily that one needs to go, but I think we're pretty well covered right now. I mean, just the major ones off the top of my head would be NG models, Aero Classic, Gemini jets, and then Panda models, and then Phoenix models would be my go-to ones. There's also some other ones like Aviation 400, and I also have a model from a company called Apollo. I don't know what that is. You know,
They don't exist
a whole lot
anymore,
about it.
yeah.
They don't exist anymore. Okay, that's good. So, but
I don't miss them.
yeah, no, it wasn't. It was a JL 787. It's not that good. So it's not that good. But to answer your question, yeah, it's definitely saturated, but I don't think we'll see any more companies. I know Velocity models would have been the last little one-off of that. But I think we're pretty well in terms of model airplane manufacturers at this point, in my opinion.
I could see maybe like somebody coming in like doing like a couple of like one-offs, like the 764s,
Agreed.
the CR9s, those kind of aircraft.
I agree with that. I definitely agree with that.
And then maybe look to be bought out by somebody.
Yeah, get eaten up by somebody, man. That's how it goes.
Yeah. Alright, so if you became the CEO of Gemini Jets today, what would you change?
Oh boy, this is a beautiful question. Number one is take accountability for your mistakes over the last 5 to 6 years in terms of the 1-400 skills. I mean, I've talked about enough. I don't really want to, I get kind of tired of talking about it on YouTube because I feel like I'm beating a dead horse at this point. And I don't want to be negative all the time, but just like I said, take accountability for the mistakes, fix them, and when I mean fix them, just whatever NG Models is doing, that's what they need to do. And then, in terms of, what kind of planes to make, I know there's, in the background, there's, Emirates has a contract with them, I'm pretty sure. They have some deal with them where they make Emirates models. Same thing for Hawaiian too, but, just make what people want. It seems to be the recipe that NG Models is following, because every month they release planes. It's just tic-tac-toe. They make everything that people are just really wanting. So that would probably be in a short little description of that, what I would do for that question there.
All right. Yeah, that's a good answer. And like NG Models, seems like whenever their strategy is like a new mold comes out, let's say they would, for example, do A350, which they're working on.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Their solution is make everything.
Absolutely. They're doing a phenomenal job. I just recently was looking at the pictures of some of the planes that are coming out soon, and one in particular is that Hawaiian Airlines A330, and just it's so beautiful what they're doing. And the box art is awesome. They're really in their prime right now. They know exactly what they're doing, so it's nice to see it.
Yeah, definitely. What is your favorite airline and why?
Oh, this is a good question. So JetBlue Airways is my favorite airline. Kind of goes hand in hand because AirTran was also my favorite airline for the majority of my lifetime until technically 2013. But JetBlue and I kind of go all the way back to 2006 when they started in Charlotte, July 12th of 06. And I remember going to the airport, seeing them. I was young at the time. So I didn't really know what, I knew what the airline was and whatnot, but I was, when we saw their inaugural flight come in, it was really cool just because they had all the different tails. I mean, back then they had all 6 or 7 different tail designs, so it was a lot more variety at that time. And through the years, we finally flew them for the first time in 2007. We were originally supposed to fly them from Las Vegas to Kennedy and then Charlotte, but we had a unforeseen incident that happened on our trip with our family, and we had to drive back to Pittsburgh. So I officially flew them for the first time in 2007 from Pittsburgh to John F. Kennedy and then Charlotte. And I was, at a young age, I was just so amazed and in love with the airline at that time. And, you know, I kind of followed them through the years, and kind of when AirTrend stepped aside, JetBlue just took over that spot for me. And just the fundamentals of the airline, I mean, just the way they are, the way they treat their customers and employees, their values, their, you know, caring, safety, fun, passion, just stuff like that. Just what the airline's all about. I mean, they came into the industry in 2000, February 11th of 2000. Seeked out to be just like Southwest, but with a different spin in terms of their onboard product. It's definitely been a very successful venture over the years, and you know, just everything about them is just, there's so much to love about them, and they got a really exciting future because they're, you know, you look at their two main hubs in Boston and Kennedy, and Terminal 5 recently, well, not recently, about 6 years ago at this point, got Terminal 5I, which is 6 FIS capable gates, which is, you can allow international arrivals on those gates, and it's within their terminal. So you know, it's just building off of what they have for the future. I mean, Europe will be coming next year, sometime in the later part of next year. So just a lot of good stuff to love about them in a nutshell.
Oh yeah, that's very good. That's a very good answer. So you went to University of North Dakota for airport management. For anyone who's thinking of possibly doing a similar thing, like say they want to go into aviation industry, what would your thoughts be of airport management, and how would you recommend somebody get into that if they're interested in it?
Yeah, so airport management's an awesome path to take. I actually started as a commercial airline major. As I proceeded with the program, the more and more I kind of matured through college and had a better understanding on everything, I looked at the major a lot more because it provides you a business degree, which is very, very useful for anything, not just aviation. And I was very back and forth about switching the major. And the biggest reason I did was because of the fact of the safety net it creates for you. So having a business degree is, like I said, it is allowed to open up opportunities that are outside of the aviation world. And you know, one of the things that's really cool about the airport degree is because there's so many other jobs that people don't really realize that are within it. One would be airport operation officer, which is basically you basically just analyze and assess the airfield, security within the terminals, and things of that nature. And there's also some jobs like airport planning, which is what I really want to get into at some point. And it's just a big umbrella of administration jobs that are involved with it, which is really neat for, you know, to be exposed to, because not many people think of this degree as a tip or as a popular route when they think of airline or airplane jobs, or aviation jobs rather, sorry, because most people start thinking, you know, pilots, flight attendants, ATC, but there's so many things in the aviation business world that are within that program. And just my kind of thought for that would be, it's just great. You could still do the airlines. It's something that I think I'd like to get into at some point. Obviously not now, just with everything going on, but it just provides you just a more an array of stuff that you can get into with your degree in a nutshell for that.
All right, that's a very good answer. And like a lot of people think of like pilot, as you mentioned, flight attendant, ATC. But the thing is, like, particularly the pilot is really, really expensive. It's in fact one of the most expensive degrees you can take in any college. Like it's just like it's in many universities more expensive than going to law school.
Yes. Yep, it is. It definitely is.
So, you know, it's a great way where you can make a pretty good living. So yeah, how has YouTube changed your life?
Oh, in many ways. It's given me the ability to have a platform to kind of showcase my opinions and my personality and my interest to an audience. I really enjoy doing it because I really love planes and anything aviation related. So having the ability to kind of show everybody what I enjoy doing, and hopefully inspiring other people to kind of follow that path, or not necessarily follow it exactly, but just in some degree. it's definitely been a huge impact for me over the years, in many ways, and I assume it will continue that way as we proceed on here. So.
Yeah. Do you remember, like, maybe about 5 years or so ago, YouTube had the slogan of broadcast yourself, and I've always been connected to that because it kind of really says what YouTube is.
Yeah, I actually don't remember that. The only frustrating part about going to school was I've been so out of touch with YouTube over the years. It just everything feels like a blank, so I really missed out on a ton of stuff. So I honestly don't remember that.
And that is actually leads into the next question, which is how has YouTube, or should I say college, affected your YouTube channel and that sort of thing?
So kind of just continuing on here, it was definitely a negative impact to the channel because it did not allow me to continue making videos on a consistent basis. I mean, obviously, I still tried to make something, some videos happen anytime I was home for Thanksgiving or Christmas, summer, spring break, and in those holiday events. But being 1,500 miles away from your whole model airplane collection, it makes everything a lot difficult to properly run a channel. So I kind of kept a token service operation for the channel just to keep it somewhat alive, keep some pulse in the channel. So it's definitely a huge aspect of kind of delaying everything that I wanted to do with it, but it's over now, so
the wait's over.
Yes.
Alright, so we have one last question, and that is, where do you see yourself in 5 years, and what is the future of Gemini Jets 13?
Yeah, so hopefully in 5 years, working some type of administration role at the Charlotte airport. That's definitely the ultimate goal for me, is to be involved in some capacity here at Charlotte Douglas. In terms of the YouTube channel, I have a lot of really cool things planned in the near future and long-term future. I have a short-term project that I don't want to disclose yet just because I'm still finalizing the details with it. But I have some really cool ideas that are going to be coming to the channel, or new series / airports and whatnot. So it's just going to kind of continue off of building on everything that I've basically have done on the YouTube channel, and then just kind of expand on that more and try to get a little bit more variety in terms of some airports and videos into the YouTube channel. I think that would be really nice to have at some point. So.
Oh, it sounds awesome. And I said that was the last question, but I actually thought of one more, if that's okay.
That's okay. That's okay.
So what did the name Gemini Jets 13 come from? I should start putting these questions at the beginning.
So the thing back then was everybody had Gemini Jets as their name with a number. So that was nothing different, but the number 13 is just very special to me because that was my birthday, or my birthday, I should say. So that's where I got the 13 portion of it. I kind of wish I kind of want to change the name at some point just because I feel like I've grown out of that phase. But it's just something, that's a whole nother thing I've been thinking about. I'm not sure if it's just, in terms of the channel name, it's just been there for so long. I'm not sure if it's really worth the hassle, but that's really just the number was the only special add-on to that. So.
Well, that's fair. So, yeah. Thank you so much for coming on with the interview. I hope you guys who are watching enjoyed the interview, and it was a great pleasure to have you on. So, yeah.
Thank you so much for having me, and I hope everybody enjoyed the video, and thanks again.
Alrighty, so that was Gemini Jets 13. Thank you guys for watching. Have a great rest of your day. Thank you for 500 subscribers. Have a great rest of your day, and God bless you. Bye.